Being a Youthberk fan these past couple of weeks is like a roller coaster ride. First, seeing how disappointing Youthberk Full Blast is, then seeing the supporting card being Omega cracked. Let's go over the new cards, then I'll tell you how I feel about the deck as a whole. Starting things off, we have Youthberk Revolform Full Blast. Auto, when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle by the Revel Dress ability, cost CP1 and perform all of the following according to the card names of cards in your soul. If your soul has all of the following, all of your front row units get power plus 15k until end of turn. If you have Zest, this unit gets critical +1 until end of turn. If you have Gust, this unit gets drive +1 until end of turn. And if you have Tempest, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and put it on the bottom of their deck. Auto Vanguard Circle, at the end of your turn, choose a card with the Revel Dress ability from your soul and write it as rest. Let's say you only have one of the forms in soul. This card is just awful and you will wish you just had any other Revel form to Revel Dress into. Tempest at least gives you 2 more cards and a 5k boost to the front row. Gust and Zest gives you plus 10k. How about if you have 2 in soul? I still think it's not worth it because it is only when you have all 3 in soul that you get the plus 15k to front row. Without that, these numbers are just so easily guardable. It means that we want to turbo all 3 of them into soul by turn 3 and at the latest, turn 4. You're just missing out on so much value if you're even just missing 1. Then what is the optimal play if we fail to get all 3 into soul? I think it is still best to go into Tempest since we will at least get the power boost as well as card advantage. Next, we have Witch of Extinguishment Fergosa. Auto, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Vanguard or Youth in its card name, cost Soul Blast 1, search your deck or drop for up to 1 card with Revolform in its card name, put it into Soul. And if you search the deck, shuffle the deck. If your Soul has 3 or more cards with Revolform in their different card names, cost Soul Blast 1 card without Revolform in its card name and draw a card. Auto on Rearguard Circle, when your Vanguard is placed by the Revel Dress ability, this unit gets power plus 5k until end of turn. So this is one of the ways that we can shove the different Revel Dresses into Soul, where if we have all 3, we even get to draw a card by Soul Blasting a card that is not a Revel Dress. However, with just this card alone, we still can get the 3 Revel Dresses into Soul by turn 3, since the right line requires a Soul Blast as well. We will only have enough Soul to put 2 in. This is where the next card comes in. Barter Brave Instrument Corino says, Auto, when this card is placed on Rearguard Circle from deck during your turn or discarded from hand during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Youth in its card name, search your deck or drop for up to 1 card with Revolform in its card name, review it and put it into hand. And if you search the deck, shuffle the deck. If you put a card from hand, choose a card from your hand and put it into soul. This is by far the best new supporting card for Full Blast, as it doesn't matter when we discard. We can discard it for a turn, but we can also discard it using Youthberk skill. On top of that, even just being placed on Rearguard Circle gets the skill active as well. It is vital that we find this card early. Also, important to note for Corino, we don't have to put into soul the card that we searched. Let's say we already have a Tempest in our hand. We can just go look for Full Blast and put Tempest into soul. So now that we talked about all the new cards, what are the ratios we should be running for the different Revolforms? Since we have pretty much 8 copies of a card that puts a Revolform into soul, I think it is safe to just run 1 copy of Zest since it can be damaged as long as we have it by turn 1. As for Gust and Tempest, we don't really want to go into Gust, but we are still scared of damaging it, so I think 2 copies of each is the right number. I already mentioned how we want to utilize Tempest in case we don't satisfy the full condition for Full Blast. So the order that we put the forms into soul should be Zest first, then Gust, and Tempest last. Do remember, even going into Tempest turn 3 still puts itself into soul for Full Blast next turn. We want to boost the consistency of finding Corino or Fergosa. With the little amount of space we have left, I'm running Yellow Jewel Beast Topaz. If you don't remember what it does, basically when put on rear, return 2 cards from the soul or drop that was originally in the right deck back into the right deck to look at top 5 cards of our deck to call a unit that is great less than or equal to our Vanguard. If it was put on Guardian Circle with the same cost, we get plus 15k shield until end of that battle instead. Why do we run this card over cards like Carberry and Drilling Angel? First, we're not really short on attackers since we can always use the Revolforms as attackers and we have Fergosa. Carberry is another Soul Blast which we just can't afford in the earlier stages of the game. Drilling Angel doesn't guarantee that we find the cards we need, so yeah, that's a pass for me. And here's the sample deck list. Pretty much the ratio I talked about throughout the video, with Forest Sequana as we still want the threat from the drive checks. Front triggers are still best as it is important that these attacks connect. Because of the amount of cards we are compressing, expect to hit triggers pretty consistently. What do I think about Youthberk as a whole post set 13? I think it is okay. I think it's kind of like how Jewel was back in set 10. Personally, I don't like decks that require a lot of pieces to function. We pretty much have to find 3 of the 8 copies of the new supporting cards every game to have a noticeable impact on the game. Otherwise, we're just playing the old Youthberk without the good rear guards. And also, it's just boring to me when I play a deck without much decision making. It doesn't matter what my opponent does when all I'm hyper focused on is digging through my deck every game for the same cards. But that's just my opinion, and I really like how edgy Youthberk looks, so I'll probably still end up picking up the deck anyways. That is it for this video. Let me know what deck analysis you want to see from me next, and I'll see you all next time.